between men and women.
What inequalities exist right now?
A lot that I'm not going to try to bring up because I would have to sit here and remember everything, and I don't feel like doing that right now. But there definitely are inequalities, not laws or anything written on paper, but even just in general, just the way women and men are treated.
What are those ways?
Or just name like one. You don't have to dig deep into everything, but
Yeah, but then I have to like really dig deep and like think about everything, and I don't feel like it.
Damn. Wait, you've come onto a show to like talk about this sort of stuff, so.
Do you think that there
I
are
can think about
inequalities?
it, and then you can come back to me if you ask.
Okay,
everyone.
are you a feminist? Did
I
we
already
get,
answered, so we're
She
on
said
this
no.
one.
so no, yes, no, or what was
She
your?
said yes.
I mean,
for
I think
equal
that we are,
opportunity, but
like-
we're already equal.
I'm for equity, and I think that
Okay.
we have that.
So yes, feminist, no feminist.
Yes.
Yes, feminist. Okay.
I think it's a loaded term.
Yeah.
Because there are some people that claim to be feminists that are
especially like
out
now
there.
because
Yeah.
there's like so many, like, I don't know, I feel like people take it to an extreme, but I just feel like we all need to like come back down to where
Yeah.
Sure.
feminism really was.
Well, let's start with this question then. Do you think that when it comes to rights or any laws, are there any laws that exist that are unequal, or any rights that men have that women don't? Let's start there.
Law-wise, no.
Law-wise, no. Okay. And then more broadly speaking, when it comes to, I think you said societally or
She said treatment.
treat.
So I guess societally, sure.
So how, you've had a bit of time, have you come up with anything, or?
Just the general treatment of women and men is different.
How so?
The way that the way that a man will talk to me versus a way a man will talk to, for example, at my job, the way I'll get talked to versus a busser who is a male will be different, and it won't be for any reason other than because it's a woman and a man.
Wouldn't you say that's because men and women are different?
No, I'm just saying.
Couldn't you say that that's evidence of, so is that sexism?
Depends on what the thought process is of the person who's saying.
Do you get paid
those-
tips?
Yeah.
Okay. Isn't it the case that women tend to make more tips than men? No.
Yeah.
No, I feel like,
No?
no, I remember I used to be a server and I looked at statistics. Or, okay, yeah. Yeah.
It depends on the restaurant. If it's at
Yeah.
like Hooters or something, obviously women are going to make
no,
more.
but at our
Because
restaurant,
you're
like,
women.
we
It's
all
what?
get paid the same tips.
Yeah.
It's all divided
Yeah.
equally.
Yeah.
No, some restaurants, I mean, yeah, there's pooling at some restaurants, but other places, it's going to be like whatever your tips are your tips.
Even if it is pooling, it's like who's bringing in more.
I think they generally, when it
women.
comes to tips, I think they make about the same. 'Cause
Yeah.
I remember I was like looking at like stats on this, on how like things people can do to get higher tips, and it was showing like differences in like appearance and different demographics.
There have been pretty comprehensive studies on this. Women are tipped more than men. I just did a Google search.
Okay.
Wow. Okay, proven wrong then. I can see.
But, so, I mean, so are you talking about the preferential sexist treatment that you receive?
I'm just talking about like
when it comes to tipping, or-
general treatment. Just generally the way you'd get treated, whether it's better or worse, you'll get treated differently for your gender, and that's just the facts. It could be better sometimes. If you go to a gas station, maybe the guy will give you something for free because he thinks you're hot. But either way,
So is that a privilege, or?
no. I'm just saying either way, it could be better or worse. It's just different.
Okay.
And then if anything, what if the gas station worker is sexist and he hates women, so he overcharges you because he thinks you're dressed like a slut or something? Like, it just depends.
Yeah. Or
Does that
what about
happen?
like the whole, educational system, which is predominated by women, especially for young childhood education, and these women tend to have a bias against men, and so they tend to, when it comes to assessments for students, they will give more favorable grades to women on the pure basis of them being women.
I've never heard that in my
It's
life.
absolutely a thing.
I'm just saying I've
What-
never heard that in my 19 years of life.
Are elementary school teachers more likely to be men or women?
Women.
You don't know?
No, I mean,
I
Ours was
think
pretty
women-
divided.
Huh?
Like my school's pretty divided.
yeah, we had like
I
half
had
and
more
half.
male teachers in my
In
lifetime.
elementary school?
Yeah.
Okay, well, perhaps yours was an outlier, but if I were to present statistics to you that showed that there were more in the kindergarten through sixth grade, there's more female teachers than male teachers,
Why does that matter?
I would agree, though.
it matters a lot.
But why?
Well, one, the men don't have any sort of male role models in the school environment, but then secondly, there is preferential. You're saying that in society, men will perhaps treat people differently, right? You don't think women do that? Or are women perfect angels that have no biases, don't do any sort of preferential treatment?
No, I never said that. You just said that. I never said that.
So then you would agree then, if you're saying that women do have biases, that if there was a disproportionate amount of women in elementary school education, that they would have a tendency to be biased towards the women, or excuse me, the girls.
I'm confused why you're bringing up teachers because in the end, I don't think, are you trying to say that administrations won't hire a teacher because he's a man? Because
Probably, that's not what I'm arguing,
if
but
it's
yes,
like
there's probably a
majority
bias.
women that are studying to be a teacher, then that's just what happens. But I don't think that there's going to be a man out there who studies to be a teacher, goes through college, applies, and then they look at his credentials and they say, you've done all the same stuff as all these women that are teachers, but we're not going to hire you because you're a man.
But would you make a similar argument about hiring practices when it comes to women?
Well, for example,
I'm not really the one here who needs to make the argument, because this is a feminist position that there's discrimination when it comes to job hiring practices towards women.
yeah, but you brought up the teacher thing, so
Right.
that's what I'm talking about.
But you're saying
So
that
I'm
can't, you're
asking
saying,
for an example.
you're saying it can't possibly exist that there's any bias against men in job hiring. But you
I
wouldn't
didn't say that.
You kind of did, because you're like, well, I don't think if they went to the college and they did this, that there would exist any biases that would make it harder for them to get a job when it came to dealing with children. For example, I would argue that there's a very strong bias against male babysitters or having a male working in a child daycare. I would argue most people, there's a bias that will exist in both men and women. Would they have a preference for a female or a male to handle the child care?
They would. I agree with you. I think there is
Right.
a bias.
And so there's a similar, and so for elementary school, right, it's dealing with young children, there is an anti-male bias. I don't think it's justified, but there is an anti-male bias when it comes to elementary school teachers. And a
Okay.
lot of men who would love to be elementary school teachers have been pushed out of that career because of this bias that exists towards men when it comes to dealing with young children.
Okay, and so the reason that bias exists is because statistically, not that we're supposed to bring this up, but statistically,
Well, I'm
no.
okay.
but
Make your point,
I'm
but
gonna, because you said I can't say this word, but statistically, the majority of people who are attracted to children are men, and you could look that up. It's a
well,
majority
I'm not
men.
sure.
I disagree with that.
Because, well, there's a couple things here. So first off, you hear week after week, day after day, stories of female teachers graping their students.
But
All
I
the
don't
time.
hear that often, honestly. To be honest, me
It's
personally, I don't
it's
hear
actually
that
more
often.
common. It's more common than the male professor, or not the male, the male teacher, than with female student.
Could you
It's-
look this up?
Yes,
It's
I've
far
seen
more
multiple
common.
stories recently. In my specific area in Massachusetts, there was a female teacher recently that actually SA'd a male student in middle school had his baby, lied to his parents about it, and then he found out years later when she was in jail that it was his biological son.
And to that, I would say, sad story, obviously terrible, but I said statistically majority men.
Can
I'm
I
not
can I
saying
throw her a
women-
bone too? Like,
Women don't
But
sexually
statistically,
assault.
especially in recent years, there's been, I could look it up if I had my phone, but there has been statistically many more female teachers that have essayed male students.
think
There's
more
even been
women?
stories, yes.
if I could interject, and I don't know who's correct here, like, but it could be, it just like that. I mean, you very well could be right. That would be like surprising to me, but I'm thinking maybe it could be like in the news more often, those situations, because it's so like crazy to think of, like, because it like throws off our expectations to think that like a woman would do that. So maybe that's why it's in the news, because it's just the most like outlandish, not outlandish, but like extreme headline. But like
I can give
surprising,
you a little bit of
shocking,
credit.
shocking.
It would be more newsworthy for them to send that message. But I think any teacher that essays a student is going to be on the news.
I mean, possibly, but I do think that like.
But if anything, you
woman
could just
that
look
would
up
be so far
the
from-
statistics so we know for sure.
Yeah, we could.
Brian, would you
Because
be able to do
I
that?
don't know.
Because I don't know any exact numbers, but from life that
Just
I've
so we can settle our
experienced,
argument?
It's been majority men that I've seen, and that's why that bias exists, which I'm not saying that's right, because there's great teachers that are male that want to be teachers, and I don't think it's fair for them to be rejected from teaching if that's their passion. But I'm saying that there is a bias and there's a reason for that
Can I ask you a
bias.
question? Would you be more likely to leave do you want kids one day?
I'm not sure.
Let's say you did have kids.
Okay.
You more likely to leave them with a female babysitter or male babysitter? What would be your preference?
I think I would meet them, because if it's a female and she seems like a freak, then I'm not going to leave my kids with her. So depending on
They're equally qualified.
they're equally
and
qualified.
Neither of them, they're equally qualified. They're both seem like good people. You don't have a leaning towards.
I would
One?
lean towards the same gender of whatever gender my kid is. So if I have a male kid, then I would probably lean towards having a male babysitter, and then if I have a female kid, I'd lean towards a female babysitter. Same gender, same role model. They understand each other. They could teach each other things.
It's like a 2-year-old.
Okay, well, the older woman can teach the young girl stuff, and then if I have a boy, then there's an older role model for him.
Okay, all right.
I actually do think that's a pretty fair argument.
Yeah.
But so, are there any other examples of, I guess, the inequality that exists between men and women?
Not that I can think of at the top of my head right now.
Just the unequal treatment. What do you think about the draft? Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, just that men are being drafted to the war. Well, if that were to happen, not right now.
Everyone should be drafted.
So do you think women should be subject to forced military conscription?
Maybe everyone who's qualified.
Yeah,
Obviously.
I don't think women exactly should be, but
Why not? Wouldn't that be?
statistically and physically, men are stronger. So,
Yeah.
what
So?
if it's a woman that's same strength as a man? Because I think that the reason that men are being drafted is just because they're physically stronger, and it's war. It's not something light. So that's the reason I'm assuming that they're choosing men to be drafted and not women.
Well, then should women be barred from volunteering from the military?
No.
Oh, but I thought men are stronger than women. Why? And when women do join the military, they get paid the exact same amount because it's government mandated. So if you're X rank in the military, whether you're a man or woman, you're going to get paid the exact same amount.
The men and women, I'm assuming, I've never been in the military, go through the same workouts and probably are similar in strength. And a woman that's in the military is going to be strong. That's going to be a strong woman. She works out a lot. They go through a lot of intense
Could I-
training.
Yeah, but okay, so if you put a man and a woman through the same exact training, do you think they're going to come out the same equal strength?
No, because men develop muscle
Yeah.
faster, and they're just
so what do you
physically
think,
stronger.
in addition to that, also the physical requirements to join are different?
Hail and well met.
Oh, look who it
Lord
is.
Paladins donated
Thank you, man.
$200.02. Just looked up rate of convictions of teachers SUing students. It's actually pretty similar numbers, although there are more female teachers, but the men had twice as long jail sentences.
Yo, Lol Paladins, thank you for the TTS, man. Do you know what it is per capita? Because you do say it's more, there are more female teachers, so are you talking per capita, or like this is accounting for per capita? So going back to the whole strength thing, yeah, I mean, it's not clear to me if the women who join the military are anywhere near as strong as their male counterparts in the military.
Could I
Do you-
add something to her point that she said earlier? The people that are qualified, but I actually have known women that have left Russia because it's not if you qualify. As soon as you turn 18, if there is a war, you're in the war. There's no question whether you qualify. There's no strength requirements. If you're a male or female at 18 and there is a war, you are sent to war. There's no question. So I just wanted to clarify. I know I don't know if he's specifically talking about the United States, but that's the specification for Russia that I've heard personally from women.
Okay.
Wait, are you saying that like the women are as strong as the men that are in the military?
No, I mean, there
That's-
might be some.
Okay.
Saying that generally is kind of impossible, but there might be women that are stronger than some of the men there. Because what if there's a guy that just he's fresh out of high school, he's never worked out a day in his life, and he went to the military because he doesn't want to go to school. And
I
then there's
would-
a woman that's been working out her whole life, and she's super buff. She's probably stronger than him, but it's specifics.
I mean, honestly, I would say the average male who joins the military is going to be stronger than 99% of all the women in the military. There might be like that 1% who, yeah, they work out a lot, but there's major just natural strength differentials between men and women.
Yeah, nobody's disagreeing with you on that. I already felt
Okay,
that.
fair enough. But so you do think the equal thing would be to start drafting women. Do you agree with that?
I don't think that anybody should be forced to be in the military, men or women.
Well, so that's a fair statement. We can say that, well, war is bad, there shouldn't be war, but given that there is war, and given that that's not something we can really get rid of, or even if the state or country, they're involved in a defensive war. So they didn't actively seek out war came to them, they're going to defend themselves. Knowing that war really can't be avoided, knowing that governments and nations will never relinquish their right to force its citizenry into a military conflict, and given the reality that men do have to register for selective service, should women equally have to register too?
I don't think that, honestly, yeah. In a world, I don't think that it would be smart just because physically there is a big difference between men and women. But in the world of equality and that should men be getting drafted and women shouldn't, no, I don't think that's right. I don't think that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's a smart idea because physically there is a big difference between men and women. But
Well, the military needs paper pushers. The military needs
Yeah.
people in a support capacity. Not every soldier is going to be on the
Medics.
front line.
yeah, so then yeah. If it's a smart idea, we're talking about war here. I'm not talking about I just want everything to be equal. We're talking about war. So if it's the smartest idea to have men and women being drafted, then yeah.
Yeah, but we don't really like factor in, like when it comes to initiatives in other industries or sectors, we don't really ever have this conversation of, well, men are better, which is kind of what you're arguing. Men are better at this job than women due to physical strength, right? But I mean, that's never accounted for when we're talking about initiatives to get women overrepresented in other sectors. Do you think, let's bring it to sports, do you think that men and women should be paid equally, for example, like professional basketball players? Do you think they should be paid equally?
Well, aren't they paid based off of how much viewers they get and how much people are going in to watch the games?
Absolutely.
So,
But the male basketball players make quite a lot of money, especially the stars, and female basketball players tend to make very little.
yeah, so
But they're both playing the game.
If more people are coming into their game, then they're going to make more money. That's nothing I can
Okay,
do about
sure.
that. If more
That's
people
reasonable.
are coming into the male game, then
Okay.
obviously they're going to make more money.
So you don't think it's unfair that male basketball players make more than female basketball players?
I don't know how their salary works. So from what I'm assuming, you get paid based off of how many viewers and how many people are buying tickets to your games. So
Yeah.
it would be crazy to say it's unfair that less people are going to my game, If they want to go to that game instead of that game, they can do that. So that's just the way the cookie crumbles. It's not unfair. If they're getting paid
Don't
differently,
disagree.
like I don't know how basketball players get paid. So that's what I'm assuming. They're getting
Yeah.
paid based off of views and tickets to their games. So it's not unfair that more people want to go to that game. No one can do anything about that.
Totally reasonable position. Totally agree with you. Now, anybody else on the draft? You want to see women drafted? What do you think? I think that's
I
fair.
don't want to see anybody drafted, but like Riley said, if it's a smart decision to bring women in, then yeah, it's what's needed.
Right, but again, given the reality that men do have to register, do you think women should have to register too?
I just think that more men are in the military because of just like biology. They're stronger and they're more like fit for the job. So I see why only men would get drafted. So I just think it should just be men.
But aren't you a feminist?
I am.
But so how do you reconcile this very unequal position?
This is just like one of the things, man. I don't know. I just like, I mean, like I said, if women need to get drafted, yes. But if we're just talking one day, they're like, women have to be women are gonna get drafted, or like they have to be.
Yeah.
Then I'll be like, damn, I don't know. Me personally, I wouldn't want to.
Right.
And I
Same
don't
as the
think-
men. They
so I
probably
don't
don't want to
think-
either. But they get forced, unlike women.
But who built that system? Like that system, you know?
But what about the men, though? Well, I don't know if that's well, okay, so if Kamala Harris becomes president, well, she wouldn't have total. Okay, this is not the. She would not be able to undo the selective service system. So the argument I was about to make was not a strong one. But if it was women in positions of power, would it still not just be unequal?
If women made up, like if women were the ones to be like men have to be drafted, or for women
Yeah.
to be drafted.
What do you mean?
Like, so we're saying in a world it's like women saying that the men have to be drafted or the women.
Wait, what? If the women are saying,
Are you saying we're talking hypothetical
The
right
women
now?
are the ones
here,
in
let me
charge.
give you an example. So let's say the government was majority women.
Okay,
Supreme
so
Court.
it is an imaginary-
No. I'm switching. Let me give a different example. The government was majority women. The Supreme Court majority women. President a woman. But these women are conservative women, mind you. About 50% of women are pro-life. If this government, a majority women, passed legislation fully outlawing abortion for the entire United States, and if you complained about it and I turned to you and said, but who's passing those laws? Would that be a compelling argument?
Yeah, honestly. I mean, like, it is women who are doing it, so it can't be like it's men doing it.
Right, but so it's like So, okay, it's women, so your issue doesn't matter? Is that the argument?
No, it's not that it doesn't matter. Obviously, it really does.
But
suck.
so, yeah, but so we got
And
to
it's
stick
also
to the
abortion
argument.
is kind of like I feel like it's a very different thing.
How so? Has to do with bodily autonomy, doesn't it?
No.
So we were talking about the war.
Yeah, we're talking about
Yeah.
war, not somebody
Wait, hold
having
on.
a baby.
So a government forcing you, like, they can move where you live. They can force you to perform exercises and train. They can force you into a geography or a combat zone where you could die, where you could get a bullet in your stomach or your head or your heart. That has absolutely everything to do with bodily autonomy.
No, you're right. It is the government's control over somebody. And to your argument, you were saying if it would be different if it was a woman in charge or not. I think that the problem, whether it's the men in charge or not, because women can be sexist too. Women can be sexist towards women. If it would still be a problem of sexism if that was a problem. If it was all women, I would say those are sexist women. It's not that all men are sexist and that all women are not. There can 100% be feminist men and sexist women. So it's not a difference of a man in office or a woman in office. It's a difference in their morals as a human being.
Wait, so you think women that are pro-lifers are sexist towards women?
No.
Oh,
But so going back to
We're
the
not talking about
draft.
pro-life.
So
that was the example.
So should women be drafted? Be subject to the draft?
I just have one question before I answer that. Do they have to qualify first? Like, do they like run like?
No.
Are you sure?
I mean,
Can
there's
you
some.
search it up?
Okay, there are some things.
Because if
that-
a woman qualifies, then yeah.
So there are some things that can exempt you from military service. Although in the case of a draft, like for example, if you have certain medical conditions, it could exempt you from service, right? But I mean, if you're talking about the average woman, I don't think that there's anything when it comes to the average woman that exempts them from service.
but I'm just saying
because
overall.
average women can volunteer for the volunteer military.
Then yeah.
So yes,
if-
women would qualify.
Then yeah.
If that same woman could volunteer and join the military,
I said
she should
yes.
also be subject to forced military conscription.
Yep. If she
Simple as
qualifies,
that.
same with the man. If the man
Sure.
qualifies, everyone should. If they qualify.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. We need to start sending women to war. You guys are great feminists. I love it. Send the women to war. Send them.
Hey, if that's
I'm
a
just
smart decision,
anti-war.
as you already said, there's more things to do in the war than fight. There's
Yeah.
plenty of other positions that need work. So if that's a smart decision to have women and men, then leave it up to the government and they'll make that decision.
Screw the government.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, wait. Fern, you said hot take, body count doesn't matter
Yeah.
in your notes. But we kind of already talked
Yeah, we did.
about
Because
it.
I said that in my notes that I said that. Yeah. It
But
doesn't
you
matter.
still won't reveal the body count. That's what I'm
Because it only
confused about.
matters to the person who I'm having a relation with. So, like, why do you care if I'm saying I don't care? You know what I mean?
I think he's just saying he thought that what you said meant it doesn't matter.
Oh, no,
in
I meant it,
general.
like, in a relation. But I think that it's something private to somebody. So I think it should be kept private unless you're having relations with someone, obviously. Then they should have the right to know.
But then it does kind of sound like it might matter.
Yeah.
But that's her thing, and if she doesn't want to air it out on the
Exactly.
internet,
I would
No,
rather-
I'm just saying generally. I'm just saying from her statement. I'm not coming
I'm
at
saying,
her for
no,
it.
I'm saying it does matter if you're having relations with somebody, but if it's a random man asking me, I'm not having any relations with him, so he doesn't need to know, you know?
Okay.
Was there a TTS that came in that asked a question that we did not? Like I said, I would get to it, but we didn't get to it.
I think we went through all of them. You can check though. I
It
don't
was
know.
like at the very beginning, but I think
I think
might
we
have
did
went-
it. We have.
Yeah.
Maddie, can you read this one?
Abortion rundown, por favor. My guess is pro-choice, 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 pro-life. If they draw a line in fetal development, make them defend why they draw it there.
Oh God.
Pro-choice, pro-choice. Just curious. I mean, just curious. Since he sent in the chat, just show of hands. Who's pro-choice? Pro-life. Okay. I don't really feel like having the abortion.
Yeah, I feel like that's very political. So
Yeah, how did this go from dating to political? Like, I'm
It's
so
all your
lost.
fault, Lexi. All your fault. All the blame's on you.
It's getting a little boring.
It's all my fault.
Can I ask you a
relaxing.
question? And I don't mean this offensively.
Sure, I may or may not answer.
Is it because your eyelashes are so big, or because you're stoned that your eyes are shut so much?
Stoned.
Okay, I just was wondering.
And also, I'm getting like sleepy, and the topic is getting a little boring, and I have
What topic
ADHD.
would you like to discuss then? That
Yeah,
would
what
be
do
more
you-
exciting.
I'm
What do
gonna
you
go
wanna
with the
talk?
flow type of girl, but the whole war thing caught me off guard because I thought we weren't supposed to mention war.
Aren't you the leader of this podcast? Why are you asking her for topics?
Because she said it's boring.
Don't
We
you
just
have
want to
stuff
know
we-
what you
Oh,
would like
yeah,
to
she
Well,
talk
the war
about.
discussion, like, can we like?
You
maybe
gotta love
switch it
these
up?
people where it's like, God, this is so boring, and you're like, okay, what you want to talk about?
Well, this is
no,
your
I don't
thing.
have anything.
And the bird is distracting. Like, I'm just,
Oh, the bird can't. I'm so bored because the bird.
I'm just like
These people
zoning
man.
out, and then stoned.
Bored people are boring. Bored people
It's
are
true.
boring.
Boring people
We
get
can argue
bored.
with the chat.